you can still go to school, get the right skill sets. But as times are changing, skill sets are changing, mindsets are changing. So if you're not upskilling yourself, you can, yes, there's the mentality of built to last, where you can still have good skills, but they're actually relevant. So you have to keep checking how the changes that are happening in your industry, the changes that are happening in your career, so that you continue upskilling yourself and remaining relevant and competitive. The other key reason why leaders need to keep upskilling themselves is so that you also are able to engage your own employees. And I'm sure you've with your own experiences, you've seen where you've experienced good leaders and bad leaders. So good leaders are the ones that inspire you. They're the ones who give you more information. They challenge you to become better because they're actually better than you. Yeah. So as a leader, you show the way. You show the way by how you also develop yourself, how you're at the forefront of your industry. You're a thinker in your industry. You're a thought leader. Yeah. So if you really want your employees to stay with you, to be able to retain your employees, to be able to challenge your employees, to even think and innovate and come up with new solutions, you also have to be at the forefront of that. I think the other bigger reason why we actually also have to ensure that ongoing career development is happening within our teams and within the people we are leading is also to ensure that there's actually a succession plan. Yeah, that you actually have people within your teams who can actually do what you're doing. I always used to, when I was managing people, I always used to tell people my game plan always was for every key talent, there was always a backup. Yeah, and so for every leader, as you develop people, as you are developing your key talent in your team, always ensure that you have people in the pipeline who can easily replace others so that you're never caught off guard. So for me, even when I was at HR director within the organization, I knew who was the backup for the next. So that even if you gave me your resignation, it wouldn't be a crisis. And that is more for longevity for the organization that you're working for, and just to ensure that you avoid crises within organizations. Because I've seen when people I've seen when people resign in organizations, it becomes a crisis. But as a leader, that is your role. You have to actually ensure that there's clear succession planning and there's proper talent development for your organization so that there's no crisis. And then I think lastly, for you as a leader, it's about personal growth. Yeah, you can't be, I always say you have to be able to inspire other people to want to lead, to follow you. Leadership is about influence. Yeah, so you need to be able to influence people with your thinking, with your ideas. So if you have no ideas, you can influence. So this is a must. It's a must have for every leader. You have to be upskilling. You have to keep relearning and learning. Yeah, you have to be at the forefront. You have to be pushing your team towards where the trends are moving so that your team and the organization remains relevant. And you'll see organizations that actually innovate, that create, are learning organizations. They are learning organizations. They're constantly at the forefront of learning. Yeah. So for me, those are the few comments I have as to why any leader needs to ensure that they are developing their career. And by the way, this is not a responsibility of your organization, it is a personal responsibility. You take ownership of your career and you manage it yourself. That's it, Odoni.
Amazing. Own Your Career. And that's actually a book that she has written. It's called Own Your Career. And I've actually just read a few chapters on it, and I'm loving it, to be honest. Definitely on personal branding, career development. It's simply amazing. Thank you for that, Pauline. And now,
Thank you.
in terms of a success story, please share with us a success story that significantly impacted a leader's role.
Yes, so I thought of examples. Okay, I've developed many leaders in the marketplace, but I felt that maybe the most, as Shermalynn said, the most authentic story to tell is your own story. So I'll just give you a few pointers for me, what I did in terms of how I developed myself, yeah, to get to where I am and what I did in my career journey. So I was in corporate for 21 years and I've been in entrepreneurship now 8 years. And for me, the first thing I did in my career journey is I got a mentor. Yeah, and a mentor is somebody who has been successful in the area that you want to succeed in. Yeah, and I got a mentor, and I've had a mentor over 20 years. And so this is somebody I saw, I admired, and I said, you know what, I want to be exactly like you. Yeah, and what he did, he guided me. Actually, he was a man, not a woman, because a lot of people say it has to be a woman, it doesn't have to be the same gender. So he guided me. And for me, what I learned from the mentorship experience was you actually have to be very obedient. Huh? Yeah, the thing of, okay, he'll tell you, like for me, I remember him telling me, okay, I had finished my undergrad at that time. And then he tells me, okay, now you know you have to still go back to school. I thought, what? I thought I've just finished school. I need to relax. You know, I just started working and I thought it's time for me to enjoy working. Yeah, so he says you have to go back to school. I went and did a postgraduate in HR. And then I remember he gave me another 2, 3 years to, he guided me now to move from a generalist role because I had started at the bottom of HR. And then he guided me to move into specialist roles. Yeah. So at that point, you see, now this is guidance. Now you're being given real time guidance and you are obeying and you're actually doing the thing that you need to do at the point you're being given. And I remember there's a point he told me you have to still go back to school, do your postgraduate. So I did a master's in HR. And I remember at that point, my friends were all busy partying, others were busy getting married. And I'm thinking, oh, I need to be in the action. I'm missing the action. But I just focused and I decided, you know what? Do according to the things that he was telling me at that point. And I remember at some point, he also even guided me in terms of even the career jobs, the jobs that I was selecting at that point. And I remember at one point I took a career risk. I made a strategic career risk in terms of a job that I took that everybody thought I was crazy because it was actually contrary to, I was moving from a company that was doing very well, but I moved to an organization that was actually uh, going down, but it was a turnaround HR experience, which you will rarely get. But we managed to turn around that organization. And so when we did that turnaround, at least I gained those skills. And I can tell you, I've used those skills for other many organizations. But you see, at that point, I was young, I could take such risks. So having a mentor enabled me to be able to make the right moves at the right time. Yeah, when I was still very young in my career, yeah, which enabled me to actually now hit my career milestones because I had very clear milestones with my career. I was very clear. By 30, I needed to hit management to have gotten into management, and by 40, I needed to get into directorship. And I remember just because mentorship, what it does is it accelerates your career path. I actually got into management at 27 and I got into directorship by 37. Yeah. So the thing is, it accelerates. So the thing is, for me, I did my mentorship. The other thing is, I also had clear career milestones. You see, the way I was very clear about what I needed to do. And by the way, I set these goals when I was 25. But the good thing is because I had a mentor, somebody who could guide me. The other thing is, there are times you will have to take certain strategic career risks, but those, I'll tell you, growth happens where it is toughest. Yeah, so those, I can tell you, the experiences that were toughest in my career are the ones that actually built me the most. Yeah, and you see, with all these experiences, because experiences also build you. Yeah, I tell people careers are built because of the experience, what you can do, not time that has passed, not the number of years you have worked. It is what you have done in those years. Yeah. So for me, with every organization, I was very clear that I always will have to always leave a mark. Always leave a mark. Always have a tangible project that I can talk about in each organization. Yeah. And so it's that taking that strategic view always as you're developing yourself, ask yourself, why am I here? What value am I adding? Yeah, who am I impacting? Yeah, if you're not impacting, if you're just clocking time 8 to 5, then you know there's a problem. Yeah, if you're just doing what is in your job description, then you're just earning what you're being paid for. But if you want to be exceptional, you always have to go the extra mile. You always have to take those strategic projects in the organization that will always leave a mark. Yeah, like for me, there's a 5-year culture change project I did. You know, you can talk about every organization that you have worked for, what you did, what value added. And then for me, the other thing I did was also networking. You also have to build a brand within the profession that you are in. A lot of us focus on the organization where we work. We forget that we're actually in a profession. So you need to be known in your profession. And so for me, what I do is I actually appear for professional industry events. Yeah. So if it's the coaching industry, I am known in the coaching industry. If it's HR, I am known. I try to make sure that I am known. Yeah. So that you build a name so that you can be able, when your name is mentioned, people know who you are and what value you bring onto the table. And through that, even now, by the time I was getting out, I had already built a brand. So it made it very easy. It made it much easier for me now to transition even into business. So even now, even if I appear into those professional forums, I am known because I'm the same person. It's just that I was an entrepreneur who has now become an entrepreneur. You understand? Yeah. So the thing is build the brand. And then once you have built the brand, and especially if you're working, once you get out, that equity you already built, that brand equity, it translates into your business. And I can tell you that's what I'm leveraging on. And I can tell you my clients are even people I worked with 20 years ago. The fact is, the key thing is be a good human being across, and you will see the equity, the benefits will still translate. And so that's what's now I have used. That equity is what I have now used to build my business. And that's what we are using now for. It has helped now build Talent Gurus as a leading career coaching company here in Kenya as well as Africa. We run projects across Africa. We are impacting lives across globally. And yeah, and we've also even gotten local, regional, as well as global awards. So that's what, if you're intentional about your career, the sky is the limit. Yeah, the sky is the limit. You can grow yourself. You can ensure that your career is profitable over a long period of time. And for me, that's what I am teaching people in the marketplace. Yeah, that you're not boxed to that one organization you're working for. You need to have a very long-term view of how you develop yourself, because you're developing a career that you will ensure that you remain productive, impactful for a long period of time. So I tell my coaches that I actually intend to work until 75. That's my goal. I want to be productive until 75. That's it, mother.
Wow, 75. That's quite unique. Thank you for that, Pauline. Mentorship.
Yes.
You need to be known in your profession. Those are really good gems. I'm literally writing down. I don't know if you guys are not writing any of these things down, please do not come and ask for a recording because there is no recording. There is no recording. If it passes you, it has passed you. And unfortunately, let me tell you, these experts here, they are expensive. These are luxurious experts. You see how we have luxurious brands? These are actually luxurious experts. And Pauline, I've just remembered even the conversation we had at the boot camp. Shermalynn and Pauline were both in the boot camp, and it was really, really amazing to have you inside. I even stopped being a trainer. I had to even be a student because you guys were just teaching me and training me on a lot. And so finally, because you've covered quite a lot, what strategies can leaders employ to ensure their career development aligns with their long-term goals?
Yes, the strategies that you can adopt is start with the end in mind. Yeah, I tell people just the same way organizations sit down and come up with a strategy, you need to have a strategy for yourself and for your career. So imagine yourself. Yeah, how you will look like. What do you want to do? Yeah, at 60, or is it 70? You see, the way I want to finish at 75, I have a game plan until then. Yeah, so the thing is, ask yourself, where do I want to finish with my career? If yours is ending at 60, it's still fine. If it's at 70, it's still fine, but start with the end in mind, work backwards. Very important. Work backwards, ask yourself, I am here. How do I get to the next milestone? Yeah, that has worked for me. And I think it will work for everybody else because it has worked. Just ensure that you have very clear and specific long term career objectives. Yeah, and have clear milestones uh, of what you need to do. And with each of the milestones, you'll find the skill sets and the mindsets required for each of the milestones keep changing. So you know what happens is you have to keep upskilling. So for me, I always tell my coaches that you always have to be developing yourself, but you always have to be 5 steps ahead. So today we are here, but you should be ready for for the role that you require in the next 5 years. You understand? So you don't prepare for the current role, you prepare for the one ahead. Yeah, so you're always constantly ahead, you're constantly analyzing the marketplace, the skill sets required. Yeah, so it's a very strategic view. You're taking a strategic view over your career so that you're not caught off guard and you're always ahead of the curve. Yeah, so have start with the end in mind, have clear milestones, then create a career development plan. And so through having those key milestones, now you will see what are the where are my gaps? What do I need to develop myself? You remember, like the way before I got into management, I remember that's why I ended up going back to do my MBA. Why? Because I had done a bachelor's of education and I realized I needed to understand how businesses run. Yeah, and so I did an MBA. Yeah, so that I can understand how businesses run holistically, all divisions, all departments. So if you know you want to get into leadership and to run a business, obviously you need to look at what is the skill set I require and then work backwards. The other thing I did was leadership immersions. I did a lot of leadership training, conferences. Yeah, so you work backwards, look at the skills you require, then put them now in your career development plan and you work towards them. There are some that will remain for a while on your plan. That's still okay. By the way, I remember even communication skills. I used to admire people talking the way we are talking now. I used to admire people who have good communication skills, and I put it there for a long time. But guess what? I immersed myself. I did coaching. Yeah, it is a lifelong journey. You're not gonna get all these skills overnight. But will happen is, provided it's on your goal sheet, eventually, until it is done, it doesn't get off the list. Until it's done, it doesn't get off the list. Keep evaluating yourself according to where you're taking yourself. So set short-term goals, medium-term goals, long-term goals. Have clear milestones. Yeah. Have clear deadlines. Yeah. So you see, for me, my hard knocks was 30 by 40, and I was very clear by 45 I needed to be. Have started my own enterprise. Yeah. Get a coach or a mentor, somebody to hold you accountable. Yeah. And then seek feedback. Yeah. And mentorship. Yeah. Yeah, because that's important. Then ensure that you have a continuous learning and development plan. And for me, how I simplified it, I always ensured, I told myself, you know what, irrespective of my organization taking me for training or not, the bottom line for me, every year, with my own money, I took myself for training. And by the way, it seems like it has increased in terms of value, but they said to the extent you're going to earn as much as to the extent that you have developed yourself. So for me, I have done this over 20 years. The thing is, you have to invest in yourself. You have to invest in yourself and take a portion. They say 10% of your annual earnings, put it aside for your own development. And you know, the next year, if you've developed yourself, you will earn much more. And I can tell you, every time I invest, the money comes back. Yeah, so do that. And then network, build relationships. Opportunities come through other people. Yeah, so you need to be known in the networks. Yeah, network with other people. They'll even give you insights in terms of how well you're doing with your own career. Yeah, You will even get to know how people perceive you in the marketplace as you network and as you build relationships, and then you also get to know opportunities from the same networks. And then the other thing is, do not fear taking calculated risks. So I remember when I was getting out of employment from a directorship position and then to start my organization, people thought I was crazy, but it was a calculated risk. But I was one of the few pioneers who started coaching practices in Kenya. And you can see right now, coaching has become a booming business. You have to know when to move. Yeah. But you will not know when to move if you're not observing, if you're not and researching on the market, seeing the trends. So you need to know when to move and you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable. Growth doesn't happen in comfort. And keep reflecting and keep adjusting as you go. Those are the few strategies I would give. That's
Wow.
it, Madani.
Amazing. Thank you, Pauline. I was just even writing and I'm like, wow, can I even multitask? Thank you so
Yes.
much. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Ladies and gentlemen, I have witnessed Pauline in terms of my boot camp. I was even shocked when she actually got into my boot camp. I'm like, how even, she's on a whole different level than I am, and it was so humbling to have her because I learned from her and she also learned from me as well. Yeah. And so thank you
Yeah.
as well, Pauline. And she'll actually be speaking at my boot camp, that is cohort 5. It will be the meet and greet, the physical
Mhm.
graduation. So you can't miss out
Yeah.
on that. Leaders, this is your chance to have a one-on-one with Pauline and literally get insights from her. Yeah. For the Kenyans, there'll be a physical graduation and you cannot miss out on
Mm.
that. All right. We move on to the last session. Thank you, Pauline.
Thank
Donna.
you.
Yeah, Donna, are we still here?
Yes, of course.
Amazing, amazing. So let's get into women leadership. I love that you are all about women and elevating women. And now today we just want to discuss on how to elevate women and its significance to leaders. So first of all, what unique challenges do women face in leadership positions today?
Absolutely. As women, we constantly face what some might call invisible hurdles. So I've worked for some of the greatest companies in the world: Ford Motor Company, American Express, Citigroup, the top banks. And one of the things that I've recognized is that I often had to prove that I belonged in leadership spaces. Things that I personally had to overcome, and a unique challenge to me was my physical presentation. I had to be extremely aware of how I showed up as a brand, how I dressed, how I used my voice, my vocal presentation. As you all can hear, I have a very light voice, but I was in the top boardrooms in the world, and I had to make sure that my voice was heard. I had witnessed so many times that one might bring a great idea to the forefront. However, no responses were given. Yet, let a male bring up the same suggestion, and all of a sudden it gets a standing ovation in these boardrooms. And so I had to really focus on the fact that I was facing unique challenges as a woman in these leadership spaces, and I had to make the accommodations, such as lowering the tone of my voice. I also had to slow down the cadence of my speech so that my words would land more effectively. I had to do a lot of advanced preparation to hold space and hold authority in boardrooms and in meetings as my career started to elevate. I had to be conscious to command authority wherever I went through a myriad of modalities. So I talked about my physical presence, my brand. I talked about vocal dexterity, being able to effectively getting my point across as a leader. All of these things have helped me to address some of the unique challenges that women do face in leadership today. I also feel that women oftentimes have to really be good at balancing professional and personal lives. As you all know, there are so many hats that we wear as mothers. as wives, as women, as caretakers, and then as leaders. So it's almost like walking a tightrope, which is quite unique. So if you could picture just trying to juggle a high stakes presentation while coordinating school pickups and making family dinners, the weight of all these expectations can be unique, sometimes overwhelming, and also too sometimes isolating. So it is my passion, through the work that I do, to teach women the rules of engagement. And one of those things is the power of confidence. And so learning the unspoken rules that affect to help them to learn how to equip themselves in increasing their communication skills, negotiation skills, influence, all of these particular skills that help them to walk into leadership spaces effectively. So those are just some of the unique challenges that women face in leadership positions today.
Amazing. Thank you for that. And for sure, as women, we do carry a lot of hats. And so, how can organizations support the growth of women into leadership roles?
Absolutely. Organizations can support the growth of women into leadership roles by targeting development programs that allow women to gain the skills that they need in order to effectively succeed in leadership spaces. So at American Express, I was tapped for the accelerated training program where I learned a lot of fundamental tools about leadership. And so that type of support allowed me to be successful in culture and learn new things to help me to grow. At Ford Motor Company, I was tapped to become one of the first Six Sigma black belts. And by learning the DMAIC methodology of defining, measuring, analyzing, pressure testing, improving, and controlling systems, that has helped to accelerate my career as well. And then learning executive presence, getting certified at Cornell University in New York also helps me as well, because with that, I started to learn how to accentuate what I had already put into place. And so an organization can support the growth of women by supporting targeted developmental programs. Another thing that they can do to support the growth of women is to really invest in diversity, equity, and inclusion programming. What gets measured gets done. And so, by having diversity, equity, and inclusion programming, it allows the organization to be able to measure where they really are on the spectrum of having women in leadership positions. And if there's a gap, they can put in processes to be able to close that gap and to fill those spaces with women who deserve an opportunity, who might not have received those opportunities in the past.
I like what you just said. What gets measured gets done. For sure, for sure. Can you discuss a strategy that has successfully elevated women in leadership within your network or industry?
Sure. So, one powerful strategy that has made a significant impact
You good?
is the implementation
You good
of what I
cafe?
just discussed, which is an effective diversity, equity, and inclusion program.
Okay.
Um, in these, we're able to offer a series of workshops and training
Oh, yay.
sessions, have leadership roundtables where we can actually start to talk about what our
Alafu
organization
na-record na
looks
ba?
like, where our
Ita-record?
opportunities and gaps are,
Okay.
and then create the leadership
Sound.
development programs to address those. I
Ah,
think high potential development programs are,
kokiti
being a
ako.
part of that framework is also critical. I think it's very,
Ah,
very important. It's hard
ukamali.
sometimes to have those
What
conversations,
kienyeji ni
to
tamu.
look in the
Iko fiti.
mirror and
Wet
say
fry
that
but
we
pia
have
iko na
an
supu.
opportunity or we
But
have a gap.
iko fiti
I
sana.
believe in try
Na
mentorship
ugali,
as
by the
part
way.
of a
Nimekula na
diversity,
ugali, iko
equity,
fiti.
inclusion program. And basically, what that means is
Eh,
that a leader will not only develop
Kini marido
those who
tambiao.
report to them, but also too, they gain the support of what I call peer mentorship. And so as they are on the leadership journey, they're able to advance skills by sharing with a peer some of the challenges that they might have, some of the growth opportunities that they might also have. And then that leader also too, a part of that is upward mentorship. And so that leader is gaining insights from those to whom they report to or someone within the organization that they admire. And then the third leg of that tri mentorship is that downward mentorship. And that is a commitment not only to have those who report to you, you have the responsibility of developing them, but take the opportunity to develop someone in a cross functional role as well and expose them to what's happening in your area of the business. That gives the opportunity for the organization to have more mobility because someone may gain insights to another part of the organization and get inspired to say, that's where I want my next role to be. So when we talk about tri level mentorship, we're talking about upward mentorship, those who I aspire to be like, peer mentorship, those who I am on the journey with and I can grow with. And then there's downward mentorship, those who aspire to be where I am. And if we function in all three of those at the same time, we create a robust and healthy dynamic environment where diversity, equity, and especially inclusion can dwell. I'd like to add one more piece that we must become advocates for one another. If you're in our listening audience today and you don't have someone who is saying your name in spaces that you one day hope to walk in, then you have to get busy. You must have an advocate who knows about your great work, who knows what your aspirations are for the organization. They know your wins and they are able to help you with your challenges, but yet they sit in those executive spaces or the leadership spaces, the boards that you hope to one day sit in, because when the right opportunity comes, they will say your name. And that thereby opens up a door for you to walk into your next and future self.
Wow, that was powerful. Your name needs to be said, needs to be mentioned in
Yes.
spaces, yeah, that you aspire to be. I hope, guys, you're writing this down, right? And definitely, as we move on, how can women leaders use their visibility to advocate for gender equality in the workplace?
Yes, that is my superpower and my sweet spot, if I may share that. When I was on Wall Street and in those executive spaces, I was the only woman. I was the only woman of color. And here I stand, almost 6 feet tall. I used to model on the runways of New York City, and now I stood in a boardroom and I looked around and I said, there is no one here that looks like me. So my response to how can women leaders use their visibility to advocate for gender equality, I started with my voice. But then my voice was backed up by my actions. And so if I would tell you one thing, I would tell you, don't just talk about it, be about it. Some might call it putting the feet to the gospel, putting the feet to the good news that there's potential in this person. So if there's a town hall where gender equality is not represented, trust me, the organization sees it. I remember reporting to a boss who was all about the right words, but when you looked up on the stage, there were no women on the stage. The entire executive team was male. So, do you think that matched up for us when we hear about, yes, we support gender equality, but the executive leadership team was all male? It didn't ring true. So, we've really got to not just talk about it, but we've got to be about it. Women leaders can leverage their visibility for gender equality by speaking up, publicly advocate for gender equality initiatives within the organization, and show up when these things are happening. Sponsorship and mentorship, I talked about that. Pay it forward by sponsoring and mentoring other high potential women. New women or new people to the organization can help us to do that. Promote work life balance as well. Let's get behind and champion policies that support work life integration for all employees, regardless of gender, truly. And by addressing these challenges and implementing some of these strategies, organizations can create a more equitable playing field for women leaders. This, in turn, will foster a more diverse, innovative, successful business
Hmm?
environment for everyone.
Okay. Oh, acha nimalizie ka. Amazing. Thank you for that, Donna, for sure. And finally, what impact does having more women in leadership positions have on an organization?
Sure. Ah, this is a good one. Because by having women in leadership, statistics show that more diverse leadership outperforms, so heterogeneous work groups, including women, outperform homogeneous work groups by 2 to 1 in both creativity and productivity. That means that the statistics are telling us when you have more women in leadership, you have more diversity of thought. We think differently, right? Right brain, left brain, we think differently. Women bring different perspective and experiences to the table. It fosters creativity, innovation, and robust decision making. We also have stronger performance in organizations. So, studies also show that companies with more women in leadership, as I mentioned, not only outperform those with fewer, but it can be attributed to a more collaborative and inclusive leadership style. I'm a collaborative leader. I'm an inclusive leader. It is my specialty. And I actually love being in organizations that allow for collaboration because together we can all go higher. And then finally, role models and inspiration. Women leaders actually inspire future generations of women to come forward to pursue their leadership roles because through us, they see that it is possible. So I really love it that women leaders often bring more empathy and collaboration to their teams, right? So we create supportive and inclusive cultures that make all employees feel valued and motivated. It's not unique to women, but women just inherently bring more empathy and collaboration into their leadership style. So this positive environment can also have the benefits of reducing turnover, and it can attract a wide range of talent, ultimately leading to a more dynamic and successful organization.
Amazing. Thank you for that, Donna. That was truly, truly profound. And yeah, so thank you, Pauline. Thank you, Shermalynn, for sure. So I just need a parting shot from each one of you. We shall begin with Shermalynn. What is your final take? What can you tell leaders about personal branding?
As we grow, we've been taught that we need to develop. Okay, so marketing leaders, we're very passionate and intentional about building our strategy for the year to guide what we do, and if we need to pivot, we pivot so that we could remain competitive, etc. That same strategy that we use, right? And even though you're not a marketer, but another profession within your work, within your business, that's the sort of intentionality that you need to adopt when you're building your personal brand, because it's going to be your north star to become more successful in your career, in your business, and in your business. That's one. Two, as leaders, and as you work towards becoming more visible, ensure that service is at the forefront of what you do. That's also critical. I'm free. Don't be so proud to reach out for help. Secure a mentor. Success leaves cues. I want you all to hear me. Success leaves cues. If you want to accelerate your success, partner with a mentor that aligns with your values, because you're going to be spending time with that individual. And it's important that you'll have those shared values to ensure that the process is comfortable and it feels good. And four, as you continue to go up the ladder in your career in building your personal brand, This is the most important asset that you will ever own. So understand how to leverage it in a way that allows you to propel your career forward, but while helping other leaders do the same. That's it for me.
Amazing. Thank you for that. Finally, Pauline, kindly share with us your parting shot.
So my parting shot is I'll pick a quote from my book. Yeah, and it says, "Some people dream of success, while other people get up every morning and make it happen." So I'm going to ask each one of you who has been in this call to wake up and chase your dreams, make it happen. Yeah, and as we have learned today, careers don't happen; we make them happen. Yeah, so start with the end in mind. Be intentional about growing your career, and most importantly, own your career journey. It's your personal responsibility. Yeah, it's not your employer's responsibility, it's your responsibility. Own your journey, own your career. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you, Pauline. Donna, over to you.
Thank you so much. And I'll take a quote from one of my mentors, Marshawn Evan Daniels. And she says that God is awakening something magnificent within you. Your truths are being whispered about who you are and why you matter and what you are here to do. So step out and take charge and uncover your true identity and purpose because the world needs you like never before. And I believe in you. Go get them. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Donna. I truly appreciate you. Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you have learned something. Today is on 30th of May. It's a Thursday. And if you are in East Africa, it's in the evening. The fact that you didn't go outside to party, to, have it merry, right? Because, Kenyans believe once it's Thursday, it's already the weekend, right? The fact that you didn't go, but you are here listening and learning, I applaud you, to be honest. I applaud you. Now take the next step and actually do what the experts have told you to do, right? Your career is your responsibility and it matters. Now, this is just part one. Tomorrow we'll be having a different panelist, a different panel whereby we'll be speaking on public speaking, networking, as well as career development. So we will still go further into career development because it really matters, right? How can you be able to develop your career? Because once again, just like Pauline has said, own your career. Your career development is your personal responsibility. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of this audio event. I would like to give my vote of thanks to the amazing speakers for gracing my event. I truly appreciate you for taking the time to be here. My dear listeners, please do me a favor by following each one of them and sending a thank you note to their DM. Fun fact, guys. Actually, Donna said thank you. The last audio event, and we were able to even jump on a call with her, and here she is. It really plays a big role. Right now, we're already collaborating. We're already great networks with Donna, right? So, this is how you even get to network. So, please send a DM, not just to the speakers, even to each other. So, tomorrow, once again, we're going to be having part two, whereby we'll be having Pa Kwesi Folson from Ghana, as well as Terry Shiundu from Kenya, and finally Lillian Gala from Kenya. So Lillian will be tackling networking, Terry will be tackling career development, and Pa Kwesi will be tackling public speaking. You cannot afford to miss that one, okay? So, dear leaders, you've heard from the experts the importance of being visible today. Allow me to walk with you and hold your hand in gaining visibility at the 14-day Global LinkedIn Bootcamp. Cohort 5 is set to begin on the 7th of June and end on the 22nd of June. Pauline, who just spoke, literally, she was my student, a participant in cohort 4, as well as Shermalynn. And now Pauline will be speaking in cohort 5, the special edition, and you cannot afford to miss that one. So click the link below my headline and join the side of greatness where possibilities become a reality. Thank you so much for coming out here tonight, or today from wherever you're listening. Because, guys, remember, we are a global brand with love, the LinkedIn Lioness. Have a good one. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye bye, ladies.
Thank
Bye,
you.
ladies.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.